How many times have you asked yourself how to make your dreams come true? How many times have you thought that certain people were luckier than you, that they had something special that you lacked? And how many times have you wished for a richer, fuller, more meaningful life? What if we told you that the secret to getting everything you want is already inside you? What if we told you that the universe is ready to offer you everything you need, if only you knew how to ask for it? Thanks to the Zen story you are about to hear, you will understand how to take from the universe what you need to live peacefully and finally feel fulfilled. And if you stay until the end of this video, you will discover an ancient teaching passed down for centuries by wise Buddhist monks that will reveal to you the 5 truths to take from the universe what you need and transform your life. But before continuing, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you can be informed when we publish new content for your spiritual growth. An icy wind blew through the bare branches of the cherry trees, bringing with it a sense of foreboding and the scent of impending snow. In the heart of Japan, Fukuji Monastery, an oasis of peace in a world of turmoil, stood majestically. Its ancient walls bear witness to centuries of Buddhist wisdom and spiritual growth. And inside, the elderly monk Takai, a man whose life was a living motivational story, sat meditating in his Spartan quarters, his breathing slow and regular like the rhythm of the ocean waves. For days, pilgrims had been gathering at the monastery, drawn by the fame of Takai, a man whose wisdom was compared to that of the great Zen masters of the past. They were souls seeking spiritual awakening, plagued by broken dreams, emotional disequilibrium, and a sense of being adrift in a sea of uncertainty. There were young people looking for a purpose in life, like the young fisherman Taro, tormented by the desire to leave the village and see the world. There were elderly people who sought comfort in the pain of loss, like sweet grandmother Yoshiko, who mourned the death of her husband after 50 years of marriage. And there were middle-aged men and women who longed to rediscover the joy and passion they had lost along the way, like the merchant Hiroshi, consumed by anxiety and fear of failure. Takai watched them with compassion, aware of the weight they carried in their hearts and their thirst for personal growth and mental well-being. He knew that each of them carried within them a seed of potential, a dream just waiting to be awakened and nourished. One morning, as the sun rose behind the mountains, Takai summoned the pilgrims to the monastery's Zen garden, a place of peace and serenity where nature itself seemed to whisper ancient secrets. A reverent silence fell as the old monk stood, his face weathered but illuminated by an inner light that emanated peace and serenity. Dear pilgrims, Takai began in a calm, deep voice. You have come here seeking answers, seeking guidance to navigate the troubled waters of life and embark on a spiritual journey of inner growth. Today, I will reveal to you an ancient secret, a teaching that will allow you to take from the universe what you need to realize your dreams and find inner peace. The pilgrims leaned forward, eager to hear the wise monk's words. Takai smiled, his eyes full of benevolence. The universe is a lush garden, full of abundance. He continued, ready to offer its fruits to those who know how to cultivate the seeds of their desires. But the secret is not in elaborate ceremonies or complicated prayers. It is in understanding 5 simple truths, 5 personal growth pills that will guide you towards a winning mind and a life full of meaning. The first truth the monk spoke about was ask with clarity. Like a gardener planting a seed, you must clearly define what you want, he said, looking everyone in the eye. Not vague hopes or confused desires, but a clear image of your dream. Because it's not enough to desire something, you have to see it, feel it, Savor it with all your senses. Write down your dream. Create a detailed map of your goal. The clearer your request, the stronger the echo of the universe will be. Takai paused, letting his words sink into the minds of the pilgrims. Taro, the young fisherman, closed his eyes and imagined sailing to distant lands, exploring new horizons. The second truth I want to tell you about, Takai continued, is to believe firmly. Faith is the sun that nourishes the seed, allowing it to sprout and grow. Believe with all your being that your dream is already yours. Do not doubt. Do not hesitate. Faith is the life force that fuels your personal and spiritual growth. Trust the universe, your ability to achieve your dreams, and the wisdom that guides you. Hiroshi, the anxiety-ridden merchant, felt a glimmer of hope light up in his heart. Maybe if he had believed in himself and his abilities, he could have overcome his fears. The third truth that Takai revealed to the pilgrims, who listened with extreme attention, was to act with courage. Faith without action is like a seed that is not planted, he said. You must have the courage to act, to take the first steps toward your dream, even if you are afraid. Every step, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. Don't wait for the perfect moment, because the perfect moment is now. A young entrepreneur named Takeshi, present among the pilgrims, nodded with determination. He had always wanted to defend the weak and the oppressed, but the fear of failure had held him back. Now, inspired by Takai's words, he was ready to act. The fourth truth, receive with gratitude. When the seed sprouts and the flower blooms, receive it with joy and gratitude. The monk continued. Every blessing, big or small, is a sign that you are on the right path. Gratitude nourishes your spirit and opens the door to a continuous flow of abundance. Be grateful for every step forward, every obstacle overcome, every lesson learned. Gratitude is the key to maintaining emotional balance and cultivating inner peace. Yoshiko, the grieving grandmother, felt a tear roll down her cheek. Gratitude for the 50 years she had spent with her husband filled her heart, easing the pain of loss. The fifth truth that you must carry with you, Takai continued, is to persevere with patience. The road to making your dreams come true can be long and winding. There will always be obstacles, setbacks, and moments of discouragement. But don't give up. Persevere with patience, learn from your experiences, and remember that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. Perseverance is the virtue that will get you there, the virtue by which you will eventually be satisfied with your life. A young woman named Ayumi, who dreamed of becoming a writer, felt encouraged. She had sent her manuscripts to numerous publishers, receiving only rejections. But now, thanks to Takai's words, she was ready to persevere, to continue writing, and to believe in her talent. Takai invited the pilgrims to dedicate a few minutes of their time to contemplation. The 5 truths, like 5 petals of a lotus flower, began to open in their hearts, revealing their beauty and wisdom. In the following days, the pilgrims put the monk's teachings into practice. Taro, the young fisherman, set out on his journey, braving storms and dangers, but discovering the beauty of the world and the strength within himself. Hiroshi, the anxious merchant, learned to manage his emotions and find inner calm, turning his business into a success. Yoshiko, the grieving grandmother, found comfort in the monastery community and in her new passion for gardening. Takeshi, the young entrepreneur, worked hard and set up a project to protect the weak and the oppressed. Ayuma, the young writer, continued to write, perfecting her style, and finally finding a publisher who believed in her talent. And so, Tekai's teaching became the wind of change, blowing away the clouds of uncertainty and bringing the light of hope into the hearts of those who dared to dream, grow, and find inner peace. The Zen garden of Tofuku-ji became a place of pilgrimage for those seeking Zen advice and personal growth tips, a place where Buddhist wisdom flourished and spiritual research found fertile ground to germinate. Tofuku-ji Monastery became a beacon of hope, a place where people could find the strength and wisdom to face life's challenges. Pilgrims came from everywhere, bringing with them their dreams and fears, their hopes and disappointments. And Takai, with his infinite patience and compassion, guided them along the path of personal and spiritual growth, teaching them to ask clearly, and again, to believe with firmness, to act with courage, to receive with gratitude, and to persevere with patience. Takai's 5 truths became a mantra, repeated and meditated on by those seeking change in their lives. And as the pilgrims returned to their homes, they took with them not only the monk's words, but also a new awareness, a new inner strength, and a new vision of the world.
Have you ever noticed that certain people come into our lives at crucial moments? It's as if they were sent on purpose to deliver a message or help us solve a problem. And have you ever had the sensation when meeting someone of living in a déjà vu, as if you had already met them in an unspecified past? In this video, we will see that people do not come into our lives by chance, but for a specific reason. So make yourself comfortable and stay until the end, because what you will hear will affect you deeply. But first, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share the video. In this way, you will help us produce new valuable content every day for your spiritual growth. One day, while the elderly monk Hotaka was meditating under a blossoming cherry tree, a young man named Hiroshi approached and asked respectfully, "Master, sometimes I meet people and I feel a positive feeling, as if I had already met them, or as if they had a particular affinity with my soul. Other times, however, I feel a negative sensation, as if that person had come to hurt me, to damage me. And all this makes me restless and makes me ask, do people come into our lives by chance?" "Young friend," Hotaka said, his piercing eyes fixed on the boys, "people never enter our lives by accident, and this truth is deeper than we can imagine. In life, we meet different people, and each of them has its place and role in our story. Some come and go, others stay and accompany us through different periods of life." Hotaka slowly stood up and pointed to the blue sky above them. "Look at the birds, young friend. They do not fly by chance. They are carried by the currents of the air, just as we are carried by the invisible forces of existence." Hiroshi contemplated the birds flying across the sky, trying to grasp the depth of the wise master's words. "Imagine your life as a garden," Hotaka added. "Every person who crosses your path is like a seed planted by destiny. Some grow like colorful flowers that last a season, others like mighty trees that endure over the years, but each brings with it the promise of new growth." Hiroshi nodded. He reflected on the various flowers and trees he had seen blooming along the path of his life. "The people who hurt us," Hotaka continued in a tone of pity, "are often our best teachers. They are sharp stones on our path, and despite the pain, they teach us to grow and find our inner strength." The young monk closed his eyes, reliving the challenges that had tempered his soul over time. "And then there are those who appear when we need them most," Hotaka said, pointing to a majestic tree. "Just as the roots of this tree support it on stormy days, these people support us in difficult times." Hiroshi thought of a person who had been his refuge during a very delicate period, a solid anchor in the midst of a storm, a person who, after that period, left his life, even though he would have still wanted her by his side. Finally, Hotaka concluded wisely, "Some remain with us forever. They are like fixed stars in our sky, bright and constant. True friends, family members are soulmate. With them we share the burden of our days and the joy of our successes." The young monk smiled, feeling enveloped in gratitude for the special people he had met and had by his side. Hotaka looked up at the sky, and a subtle light danced in his eyes. "Recognize and appreciate every person who crosses your path, young Hiroshi. Each is an essential part of your story, and you are a part of theirs. Life is an intricate web of destinies, and each encounter contributes to the fabric of your existence. Know," added the master, "that there are fundamentally three types of individuals: those who support us on the path of our evolution, pushing us to overcome limits and reach new levels of awareness; those who bring a breath of renewal to our inner world. When we cross paths with these individuals, we immediately perceive that the universe is weaving an intricate web. What the plans are hidden in these meetings remains shrouded in mystery, but we can be certain that something in us is destined to undergo an eternal transformation. And then there are the individuals who encourage us to continue. This particular category of travel companions may only accompany us for a brief moment, but their role is crucial. They remind us of the true nature of our path, strengthening our determination to move forward." The master's words helped the young novice who, in the following years, continued to follow the path illuminated by Hotaka's wisdom. Every encounter, be it a casual passerby or a lasting life partner, became for him a precious piece in the mosaic of his existence. Through the challenges and joys, Hiroshi learned that every person, every experience, brought with it a hidden gift, a precious teaching that contributed to his growth and spiritual fulfillment. As time passed, the novice himself became a senior monk with wise eyes and a grateful heart. In his role as spiritual guide, he shared with the young monks the profound truth taught to him by Hotaka: that life is a constant flow of meaningful encounters, each of which contributes to the unique beauty of our existence. In conclusion, what is the moral of this story? That in life, every encounter, regardless of its duration or intensity, contributes to the richness of our existence. Life is a wonderful journey of discovery, and each person who crosses our path brings with them a unique gift. Sometimes these people die, sometimes they leave, for no apparent reason. Other times they behave badly and force you to make a decision and walk away from them. What we need to understand is that their work is done because one of our needs or desires has been satisfied. Therefore, in a world where people's paths cross and separate like branches of a tree, true wisdom lies in opening your heart at every encounter and learning from the lessons hidden in the folds of destiny. As we move towards our life goals, even difficult challenges and trials always await us, and we can feel helpless. But it is precisely in these moments that the universe sends us people who give us the courage to face these challenges and overcome the obstacles. Their support and encouragement inspires us and gives us the strength to move forward. In the dance of life, Hotaka told the young novice, every encounter is a musical note. Listen carefully to the melody that is revealed through the people who crossed your path. Find beauty in the harmony of human connections. Remember, whether it is a love or a special friendship or, even, an acquaintance who touches our path, an encounter can change us forever. Have you ever thought that itching could have a spiritual meaning? And have you ever wondered if it could be more than just a physical annoyance? What if we told you that itching can hide a deep spiritual meaning that no one has ever told you? A message that your body, mind, and spirit are trying to communicate to you. A secret message that you would do well to listen to so that you can live at peace with yourself and with the world around you. Sounds amazing, right? But in the heart of Japan, in an ancient monastery, a wise monk named Tetsuo has dedicated his life to studying mysteries like this. And in this fascinating Zen story, we will take you on a journey to discover ancient wisdom and a new perspective on itching. You will discover how itching can be a sign of imbalance, an invitation to healing, an opportunity for spiritual growth. And if you stay until the end of the video, you will understand how to discover when itching is a simple physical annoyance and when, on the contrary, it is a spiritual messenger. But before continuing, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to be informed when we publish new content for your spiritual growth. The morning sun filtered through the leaves of the maples of the Zen monastery of Komyoji, illuminating the wrinkled but serene face of the venerable monk Tetsuo. His disciples, sitting in a semicircle around him, eagerly awaited his words. Tetsuo was known for his enigmatic parables and profound teachings, capable of touching the heart and awakening the mind. That day, however, the topic seemed, only on the surface, unusually banal and earthly, itching. My dear disciples, the monk began with an enigmatic smile. Today, I want to talk to you about a phenomenon that all of us have experienced, but which few have truly understood: itching. A murmur of surprise spread among the disciples. The itching. What could it have to do with spirituality? Master, asked shyly Sakura, a young raven-haired disciple, isn't the itching just a physical annoyance, a symptom of some allergy or irritation? Tetsuo nodded. In many cases, Sakura, you are right, but itching can be much more than just a physical ailment. It can be a messenger, a signal that our body, mind, and spirit send to us to get our attention. A messenger. Taro, an older disciple with a thick white beard, asked curiously, "And what is this messenger telling us?" This, Tetsuo replied, is the question we must ask ourselves every time we feel the itch. What is our body telling us? What is our mind telling us? What is our spirit telling us? Tetsuo scratched his chin thoughtfully, as if searching for the right words. Often, he said, we think of itching as a simple physical discomfort caused by an insect bite, an allergy, or dry skin. And in many cases, this is the truth. But there is another level of meaning, a spiritual meaning, that we often ignore. The disciples listened with growing attention, enraptured by their mentor's words. Itching, Tetsuo continued, can be a sign of imbalance, of disharmony. It can indicate that something is wrong in our life, that there is an area that requires our attention and healing. It can be an invitation to look inside ourselves, to explore our emotions, our thoughts, and our actions. Tetsuo paused, letting his words sink into the minds of his disciples. I remember, he said, a time when a persistent itch tormented me. I couldn't concentrate on meditation, nor find peace in my thoughts. Initially, I thought it was just an allergic reaction to the pollen, but the itching persisted even after taking the medicine. What did you do, Master? Sakura asked with concern and great curiosity. I began to meditate on the itch itself, replied the Master. I observed the sensations, I explored the emotions that came from it. And slowly, I began to understand that the itching was a reflection of a deep anxiety that I had repressed, an anxiety related to an important decision I had to make. And then? Taro asked, what did you do to make this discovery turn into something positive? Once I recognized and addressed that anxiety, the itching went away, Tetsuo replied. I realized that my body was sending me a signal, an invitation to take care of my mind and spirit. Then, as his eyes shone with wisdom and his smile spread peace, he added, the itch, my dears, is a call to action. It is an invitation to take care of ourselves, physically, mentally, and spiritually. It is an invitation to find balance, harmony, and inner peace. The disciples were fascinated. Tetsuo's words had opened their eyes to a new way of seeing itching, a way that went far beyond simple physical discomfort. Thanks to the Master's explanations, they realized that throughout their lives, they had often felt itching without a specific physical reason. But Master, Sakura asked, how can we distinguish between a physical itch and a spiritual one? "It's not always easy, Sakura," the monk replied, "but there are some clues we can look for." A spiritual itch tends to be persistent, unresponsive to physical treatments, and accompanied by other sensations or emotions, such as anxiety, frustration, or restlessness. Tetsuo continued, "Furthermore, a spiritual itch can manifest itself in specific areas of the body, each of which has a symbolic meaning. For example, an itchy hands can indicate a desire to take action to change something in our life. An itchy foot can suggest a need for grounding for stability, to find a place in the world where we can feel like ourselves. An itchy head can be a sign of mental confusion or thought overload." The disciples listened intently, taking mental notes. The lesson on itching became more and more interesting. Tetsuo, looking his disciples in the eyes, continued his lesson by telling about a new disciple who had once arrived at the monastery. He was a young man tormented by constant itching in his hands. He had consulted numerous doctors, but none had been able to find a cause or cure. Desperate, Hiroshi had decided to seek help in the monastery, hoping to find relief in Tetsuo's wisdom. The monk welcomed Hiroshi warmly and invited him to share his story. And the young man told of his hectic life, his stressful job, and his constant dissatisfaction. He had always looked for happiness externally, accumulating material goods and chasing ephemeral successes, but nothing seemed to quench his internal itch. Tetsuo listened carefully, nodding every now and then. When Hiroshi finished speaking, the monk said to him, "Hiroshi, your itchy hands are not just a physical ailment. It is a sign that your soul is restless, that there is an unexpressed desire burning inside you. Your hands, tools of action and creation, are asking you to express your true nature, to follow your passion." Hiroshi was confused, but "Master," he said, "I don't know what my true passion is. I have always done what others expected of me, what society considered right and appropriate." Tetsuo nodded and replied, "Your true passion, Hiroshi, is like a seed buried deep in the earth. It needs to be nurtured, cared for, and brought to light. Start exploring your interests, experimenting with new activities, following your curiosity. And above all, don't be afraid to make mistakes, to try and try again. Only in this way will you be able to discover what truly makes your soul vibrate." Hiroshi, inspired by Tetsuo's words, began to dedicate time every day to self-discovery. He experimented with painting, writing, music, dancing, cooking, gardening. Every activity opened new doors for him, showed him aspects of himself that he didn't know, and slowly the itchy hands began to subside. One day, while he was working in the monastery garden, he felt a deep and unexpected joy. His hands, immersed in the earth, seemed to dance among the plants, creating harmony and beauty. In that moment, Hiroshi understood that his true passion was nature, taking care of the earth and its creatures. And from that day on, he enthusiastically dedicated himself to gardening, transforming the monastery garden into an oasis of peace and abundance. The itchy hands had completely disappeared, replaced by a feeling of contentment and serenity. He had found his true calling, his purpose in life. The disciples reflected on the story they had just heard, understanding the profound message it contained. The itch, like life itself, was a journey, an opportunity for growth and transformation. From that day, Tetsuo's disciples began to see the itch with different eyes. It was no longer just an annoyance, but an opportunity, an invitation to explore one's inner world and find peace, balance, and healing. And so, itching, from a simple physical symptom, transformed into a powerful tool for spiritual growth, a path towards self-realization. In the following days, the disciples began to share their experiences with the itch. Sakura told how an itchy throat had pushed her to express an opinion she had long kept repressed, freeing her from an internal burden. Taro spoke of an itchy leg that had led him to embark on a pilgrimage, discovering new perspectives and renewed motivation in his spiritual practice. Every itch, every signal from the body, became an opportunity to deepen self-knowledge, to face one's fears and insecurities, to free oneself from old patterns and embrace change. And the Komyoji Monastery became a place of healing and transformation, where itching from an annoying symptom was transformed into a precious ally on the spiritual path. And Tetsuo, the wise monk, continued to guide his disciples with love and compassion, teaching them to listen to body language and find inner peace. Have you ever had the problem of sleeping in one position rather than another? Some people sleep on their stomachs, some on their right side and some on their left side. Then there are those who love to do it curled up in a fetal position, and those on their stomach. And again, there are those who love wearing pajamas and those who don't. There are those who love having blankets on and those, however, who want to feel free. Well, if you are among those who have never asked themselves the problem, thanks to the Zen story that follows, you will discover what happens if you sleep on your left side. So, stay until the end, because what you will hear will leave you breathless and will make you seriously reconsider the way you are used to sleeping. But before continuing, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so you are informed when we publish new content. In a quiet Buddhist monastery located among the mountains of Japan, immersed in the serenity of the gardens, the elderly and wise monk Shinzo decided to dedicate a special evening to sharing profound truths about the way we are used to sleeping. The moon, bright and round in the night sky, seemed to bless the atmosphere of contemplation that spread among the devoted disciples gathered in the main hall. Shinzo, sitting on a tatami, began to speak in a calm voice, as if his words were a light breeze that caressed the minds of those who listened to him. Today, dear disciples, we will see why sleeping on your left side is the best thing you can do for your physical health and emotional well-being, the monk began. We will explore together the profound connections between the practice of left-sided sleep, the benefits for our body and spiritual awakening. Finally, you will understand why Buddhist monks have been sleeping on their left side for centuries. While the disciples were increasingly fascinated and intrigued by the topic, Shinzo continued his speech. In the ancient Eastern tradition, the connection between the body, the mind, and the spirit was an essential part of the path to wisdom and balance. And sleeping on the left side has always been of great importance. This choice is not random, but reflects a profound understanding of the physiological and spiritual principles that guide the practice of sleep. The first advantage of sleeping on the left side, said the monk, is to achieve optimal lymphatic drainage. Lymph flows through our body, and it is important that it does so like a quiet river that flows gracefully through the earth. You should know that the left side of our body is the guardian of this vital flow, because it carries with it a load of proteins, glucose, and other substances. Sleeping on this side is like offering a clear path to the river, allowing our body to rid itself of toxins, a bit like a river carries the dry leaves of drifting trees. With a benevolent look, Shinzo turned to his disciples, masterfully narrating the second gift. The stomach and the pancreas are a bit like the deities of our internal temple, said Shinzo. When we lie on our left side, we create a sacred space for the dance of these two organs, which cause gastric juices to move with the grace of dancers in a theatrical performance. You see, sleeping like this isn't just a physical act, it's an invitation to an internal celebration, a silent celebration of enzymes preparing our body for a new day. The monk, happy to see the disciples so interested in his words, continued talking about the third gift deriving from sleeping on the left side, purification, a true nocturnal ritual. Resting on your left side, he said, facilitates the flow of digestive waste, like a stream flowing through fertile soil. The intestine becomes the garden where nutrients are deposited, and in the morning, our body prepares for an elimination ceremony, a daily rebirth. Under the soft light that filled the room, Shinzo elaborated on another benefit of sleeping on the left side, talking about the love of the heart. Our heart is the ruler of our body, he said with a smile. By sleeping on the left side, we offer the heart a perfect backdrop for its work. The aorta, its messenger, starts in a majestic arch towards the left side, like a traveler crossing a bridge, making the journey easier and the blood flow more harmonious. The monk stood up slightly as if dancing along with his tales and continued with the fifth gift. And now, let's talk about the spleen, the devoted handmaiden. This hidden organ, guardian of our life force, finds peace when we lie on our left side. Bodily fluids become messengers of this peace, making their way to the spleen like pilgrims arriving at a secret sanctuary, nourishing and invigorating.
And how have you slept until today? Write it in the comments and let's discuss the topic. In the meantime, if you're enjoying the video, leave a like and share it. You will help us produce new content every day for your spiritual growth.
With a deep gaze, Shinzo introduced the sixth gift with a touch of poetry. Like nature following the course of the river, sleeping on the left side is an act of connection with gravity, the silent master who guides our journey night. The force of gravity becomes the guardian of the pathways of our lymphatic drainage, a silent companion that accompanies our body through its purification ritual. In resting on the left side, the master continued, we also find balance between body and mind. Sleeping on the left side is not just an act of comfort for the internal organs and for our body in general. Ancient Oriental wisdom teaches us that this way of resting enriches our health and our connection with the internal and external world. It is a true hymn to life, which reveals itself in the dreams and quiet of the left side. Sleeping in this way then is not just a rest for the body, but an opportunity for inner awakening and spiritual awakening. While the world lies in deep sleep, we, as practitioners of left-sided conscious sleep, we immerse ourselves in the depths of being. It is a sacred moment in which the mind frees itself from the chains of everyday thought, opening subtle doors to universal awareness. Shinzo, still smiling at his disciples, explained the concept of the balance between yin and yang in sleep. The left side, in its more yin nature, envelops us like an embrace of the night. The quiet that arises from this practice is a gift, an offering to our inner essence. Through concrete examples, Shinzo told of nights in which the monks, immersed in the practice of conscious sleep on the left side, felt the energy flow like a calm river crossing their being. The vital energies, in harmony with nature, dance while the body rests, creating a harmony that resonates in the entire monastery. The benefits of this practice, therefore, go far beyond the physical aspect, involving the spiritual one. Delving deeper into the analysis of the physical benefits, Shinzo told of elderly monks who, by embracing this practice, had experienced greater flexibility and strength in their meditation practice. Sleeping on the left side thus becomes a perfect complement to the search for enlightenment, preparing the ground for the mind and body. The monk, between one story and another, underlined the importance of bringing this awareness into everyday life, making it a healthy habit to never give up. It is not only in the quiet of the monastery that we can cultivate this practice, he underlined. Let us bring it with us into our homes, honoring our body as a temple in which the sacredness of the night resides. Shinzo, focusing on the sounds of the cicadas and the river that could be heard around the monastery, added, nature itself teaches us the importance of aligning our sleep with the flow of the world. The left side, like a leaf cradled by the wind, connects us to this eternal dance. As his disciples listened with great interest, Shinzo shared other important benefits of sleeping on the left side. Sleeping on this side, he said, facilitates breathing, creating a harmonious synergy between the flow of air and the beating of the heart. When you lie on your left side, your trachea and esophagus take on a more natural and straight position relative to your spine. This alignment facilitates the passage of air through the trachea and towards the lungs, facilitating freer breathing. Additionally, the diaphragm, the main muscle involved in breathing, is located under the lungs. Sleeping on your left side allows your diaphragm to move more freely, promoting deep, smooth breathing. And the location of the heart on the left side of the chest is another key element. Sleeping on this side, in fact, reduces pressure on the heart and allows better blood circulation. Sleeping on your left side can help prevent acid reflux as well. With this position, the stomach sits lower than the esophagus, reducing the risk of gastric juices backing up into the esophagus. And then, added shinzo. Sleeping like this offers natural support to the spine, maintaining optimal alignment for a tension-free awakening. Have you ever noticed, asked the monk, that the spine has a natural S-shaped curvature? When lying on your left side, this position better reflects the natural anatomical curvature of your spine, minimizing stress on your discs and joints. Remember, said the monk, that sleeping on your left side is not only a way to make your body rest better, but becomes a path to awareness and spiritual growth. Just as Buddhist monks, being aware of the interconnection between body and mind, have always adopted the left side as the privileged position for sleep, you too should get used to doing so. This way, both your body and your mind will feel better. Have you ever heard of the Buddhist custom of putting salt in your shoes? And do you know what exactly this ancient practice, which has its origins in the wisdom of Buddhists and Oriental medicine, is for? Salt is known for its countless uses, not only in cooking. You've probably already tried several thanks to suggestions from elders. In the kitchen, it is a formidable ally, and according to the most recent research, it is not the worst culprit in raising blood pressure. And its uses do not end here. Salt is in fact a precious ingredient even in domestic cleaning, because it helps to clean and cleanse. Furthermore, in the form of a saline solution, it is a powerful disinfectant for wounds and skin abrasions. Not to mention its uses as an exfoliating scrub, anti-dandruff remedy, bath salt, and we could go on forever. But few people know that for Buddhists, putting salt in their shoes has a very important meaning on both a spiritual and medical level. And we will see it in the Zen story that you will hear shortly, where you will discover 5 reasons why you should also try to put it in your shoes. So stay until the end, because what we will reveal to you in the last minutes of the video will strike you deeply, leaving you speechless. But before continuing, if you are not yet one of us, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to be updated when we publish new content. In the heart of a valley surrounded by the mystical aura of the Japanese mountains stood an ancient Buddhist monastery, guardian of age-old wisdom and a place of refuge for those seeking inner peace. In this place where time seemed to have stopped, lived the elderly and venerated monk Makoto, whose wisdom and profound understanding of the ways of Buddhism and Oriental medicine shone like the light of a candle in the night. One morning, as the golden rays of the sun filtered through the branches of the trees, Makoto gathered his disciples in the monastery cloister for one of the usual lessons. And with a serene expression, he invited them to sit in a circle around him and began to speak in a warm and reassuring voice. Every step we take on the path of life is a sacred journey, the monk began, a path that leads us to knowledge of ourselves and the universe that surrounds us. And just as when, to face a long and tiring journey, it is necessary to prepare adequately, so also in our earthly existence, we must be ready to face the challenges that await us. The disciples listened, enraptured by their master's words, And when Makoto mentioned the ancient custom of putting salt in shoes, their minds opened to the wonder of a tradition as ancient as it was mysterious. This practice, Makoto continued, has roots that go back to the remotest past, when our ancestors walked through wild and impervious lands. In those distant times, salt was not just a condiment to enrich foods, but a precious commodity, a symbol of purity and protection. The senior monk took a moment's pause, letting the words settle like delicate sand in the minds of his disciples, and then continued. I will now explain to you the 5 main reasons why the practice of putting salt in your shoes is so significant and important for our spiritual path and for our health in general. First, Makoto said, salt has the power to absorb moisture, just as the Buddha absorbed the suffering of the world. When we put salt in our shoes, it helps us keep our steps light and agile. In Buddhist practice, humility is often associated with the heaviness of worries and suffering that we carry with us along the path of life. Just as the weight of water filling our shoes in the rain slows and weighs down our pace, so the worries and tensions of the mind can hinder our progress towards inner peace and enlightenment. Putting salt in your shoes symbolizes the desire to free yourself from this burden, to let go of worries, and to maintain a lightness of spirit despite the challenges encountered along the way. Salt acts as an absorbent of these worries, allowing our steps to remain light and agile as we proceed in our search for inner peace and wisdom. To enhance the meaning of this aspect, Makoto told them the story of an old fisherman who, during a storm, had saved his boat from breaking thanks to a bag of salt that he had thrown on the deck to absorb the water. The second reason to put salt in your shoes, Makoto continued, is that salt has purifying properties. By assimilating impurities, salt purifies our path, freeing it from harmful influences and spiritual obstacles. Putting salt in our shoes, therefore, is a way to protect our mind and spirit from the deceptions and temptations of the outside world. To better explain this idea, the monk shared with his disciples the story of a traveler who, during his journey, had encountered a river infested with evil spirits. Thanks to the salt in his shoes, he was able to cross the river unscathed, protecting his mind and spirit from negative influences. The third reason, Makoto continued, is that salt helps us maintain balance. Just as the mountains that surround us are symbols of stability and strength, putting salt in our shoes also helps us to root ourselves in the earth and to remain steadfast in the face of the storms of life. The mountains surrounding the monastery represent the image of stability and strength, said the monk. Just as these towering rock formations remain steadfast even in the face of the most violent storms, so we too must learn to maintain our inner stability as we face life's challenges. And putting salt in your shoes symbolizes this balance. The salt, in fact, acts as an anchor for our steps, stabilizing them and preventing unwanted falls along our path. When we walk with salted shoes, we feel more solid and rooted to the ground, as if we have a deep connection with the earth itself. This balance not only affects the body, but also the mind and spirit. Therefore, following this practice is an invitation to find the right balance between the different dimensions of our existence. Between work and rest, between action and contemplation, between joy and sadness, between good and evil. When we manage to maintain this balance, we can face life's challenges with serenity and determination without being shocked by the ups and downs we encounter along the spiritual path. To make the concept clearer, Makoto told them the story of a young monk who, during a meditation on the banks of a stormy mountain stream, had found perfect balance thanks to the salt he brought with him. As the disciples became more and more involved with the stories of their spiritual guide, Makoto continued with the fourth reason. Salt also has healing properties, he said. In Oriental medicine, in fact, salt is considered a natural remedy to relieve pain and tension. Putting salt in your shoes can soothe not only the physical discomforts, but also the mental ones that we encounter along our spiritual path. To demonstrate this idea, the monk shared with his disciples the story of a farmer who, suffering from an open wound on his foot, had found relief by immersing his foot in a saline solution. Continuing with the fifth reason, Makoto talked about how putting salt in your shoes was a gesture of gratitude. Salt is a precious gift from the earth, and using it mindfully reminds us to be grateful for all that life offers us, both the joys and the challenges, said the master. The disciples listened to Makoto's words with deep reverence, grasping the wisdom behind that seemingly simple gesture, but the monk wasn't finished yet. Looking his disciples straight in the eyes, he added, "My dears, there is a reason linked to this practice that I wanted to leave until last due to its importance. Putting salt in your shoes is a rite of passage that connects us to past generations and all the people who have walked this earth before us. Every grain of salt represents their stories, their challenges, and their victories. When we put it in our shoes, we join an eternal bond of wisdom and resilience that crosses time and space, transmitting their spirit and strength in our footsteps." Faced with this revelation, the disciples were speechless, contemplating the depth of this apparently simple gesture. They understood that, for Makoto, salt in shoes was not just an ancient practice or a symbol of protection and purification, but a connection to humanity itself and all the lives that have passed before them. Have you ever heard of the enormous power of laurel for our physical and mental health? Do you have any idea of how, if used as we will see in this video, laurel can have a positive influence on many diseases and on your emotional balance? In this video, thanks to a Zen story full of Buddhist wisdom, you will discover that if you put a bay leaf under your feet, you will no longer need medicines and you will live more peacefully. So, make yourself comfortable and stay until the end of the video. In this way, you will discover how such a simple ritual can radically change your life. By practicing it, in fact, you will be able to awaken your vital energy, relieve pain, and find inner peace. But before you see all this, if you are new to the channel, subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified when we publish new content for your spiritual growth. The stone path that led to the Zen temple of Komyoji, nestled among the green hills of Kyoto, was illuminated by the first rays of the sun. A group of pilgrims who had come from every corner of Japan were traveling along it to go to the monastery to listen to their mentor. And Kaido, known for his profound wisdom and ability to guide people to inner peace and spiritual growth, was eagerly awaiting them. Arriving at the temple, the pilgrims refreshed themselves and then sat in the garden where they would listen to the words of the master. With a slow and measured step, Kaido emerged from the temple door, his face marked by time but illuminated by a serene smile. His eyes, illuminated by timeless wisdom, rested on the pilgrims, transmitting a sense of calm. He wore a simple saffron-colored robe, a symbol of his renunciation of material goods and his dedication to the search for truth. "Welcome, dear friends," Kaido began in a warm, enveloping voice. "I am pleased to see you here, ready to embark on a journey of healing, personal growth, and spiritual discovery." The pilgrims approached, eager to listen to the words of the wise monk. Kaido sat down on a smooth rock, inviting them to do the same, forming a circle around him. The atmosphere was filled with expectation and reverence. The wind blew lightly through the leaves of the trees, carrying with it the scent of the lotus flowers that bloomed in the nearby pond. "Today," said the monk, "I will tell you about an ancient ritual passed down from generation to generation, which has the power to bring relief to the body and soul, promoting inner growth and spiritual awakening. A murmur of curiosity spread among the pilgrims. Cato smiled, knowing he had caught their attention. This is a simple but powerful ritual, he continued, requiring only a bay leaf and a pair of socks. Cato bent down and picked a bay leaf from a nearby bush. He held it in his hands, showing it to the pilgrims. The leaf gave off an intense and aromatic scent, which seemed to fill the air with positive energy. The monk explained that the laurel was venerated by the ancient Greeks and Romans, who considered it a symbol of victory, wisdom, and divine protection. Its leaves were used to create crowns for victorious athletes, to adorn statues of the gods, and to prepare healing infusions and ointments. Placing a bay leaf under your feet, in contact with the skin thanks to socks, said Cato, is a simple but effective way to take advantage of its benefits and embark on a spiritual journey towards mental well-being and emotional balance. The pilgrims listened attentively as Cato listed the 7 main benefits of this ritual, deepening each point with examples and detailed explanations. Laurel, placed in contact with the feet, relieves physical and mental pain, said the monk, speaking of the first important benefit of this ritual. The eugenol present in laurel acts as a powerful natural anti-inflammatory, relieving joint, muscle, and rheumatic pain. Furthermore, contact with the earth through the bay leaf helps to release accumulated tensions, promoting relaxation and stress reduction. Think, my dears, that this simple gesture can bring relief not only to the body, but also to the mind, helping us to let go of worries and find inner peace. The second benefit Cato talked about is related to the reduction of inflammation and healing processes. The anti-inflammatory properties of bay leaf, in fact, help reduce chronic inflammation, which is the basis of many diseases. This ritual promotes healing of the body and mind, stimulating the immune system and promoting general well-being. Laurel acts as a natural balm, soothing wounds and speeding up the healing process. Laurel, Cato continued, improves circulation and vital energy. It stimulates blood circulation, promoting tissue oxygenation and the removal of toxins. And this improves vital energy, vitality, and physical resistance. Additionally, laurel is associated with the heart chakra, the energy center of love and compassion, and its use can help open and balance this chakra, promoting feelings of love, gratitude, and connection with others. While the pilgrims listened with great interest to their mentor's words, Cato introduced another important aspect. Laurel, he said, relaxes the muscles and the mind. Its aroma, in fact, has a relaxing effect on the muscles, relieving tension and contractures. Furthermore, the ritual itself, with its simplicity and contact with nature, promotes mental relaxation, helping to let go of negative thoughts and find inner peace. Imagine walking barefoot on a green lawn, feeling the cool grass under your feet and the warm sun on your face. This is the kind of feeling that the laurel ritual can evoke, bringing us into a state of calm and serenity. Still on the subject of calm, the monk underlined how laurel had the power to calm the mind and promote meditation. Laurel has calming and relaxing properties, which help reduce stress, anxiety, and anger, he said. This ritual creates an environment conducive to meditation, allowing you to reach a state of calm and awareness. Laurel is also associated with the third eye, the energy center of intuition and inner vision, and its use can help develop these abilities, opening us to new perspectives and insights. Another great benefit of putting laurel under your feet is that it promotes sleep and lucid dreaming, Cato continued. The aroma of laurel promotes relaxation and induces sleep, improving the quality of night's rest. Additionally, some people have reported experiencing more vivid and meaningful dreams after practicing this ritual. According to the Zen tradition, dreams can be a source of insights and spiritual messages, helping us to better understand ourselves and our life path. But this ritual also has powerful spiritual implications. In fact, it purifies energy and promotes spiritual growth. Laurel is considered a purifying plant, capable of absorbing negative energies and rebalancing the body's energy field, added Cato. This ritual helps to free oneself from energetic blockages, promoting spiritual growth, opening the heart and connecting with one's higher self. Through this ritual, we can let go of the past, forgive ourselves and others, and open ourselves to new possibilities for growth and transformation. One of the pilgrims, named Hiroshi, raised his hand and asked, "Master Cato, how can such a simple gesture have such a profound impact on our lives?" Cato smiled and replied, "Hiroshi, simplicity is the key to wisdom. We often look for complex solutions to our problems, when in reality, the deepest answers are found in the little things, in the daily gestures that connect us with nature and with ourselves." The Laurel ritual reminds us that true healing and spiritual growth do not require great effort or complicated practices, but rather an opening of the heart and a deep connection with nature and our true essence. Another pilgrim asked, "Master Cato, can this ritual help me find my path in life?" Cato replied, "Aiko, the spiritual path is a journey of self-discovery. This ritual can help you create an inner space of calm and clarity, where you can listen to your inner voice and find the answers you seek. Through your connection with the earth and the energy of Laurel, you can access your inner wisdom and discover your true calling." Cato continued his speech with an invitation. Try this ritual for 15 days and observe the changes in your body, mind, and spirit. Be open to experience without expectations, and let the wisdom of the Laurel guide you to a healthier, happier, and more conscious life. And remember that personal growth is an ongoing process, and every step we take toward our true nature is a step toward happiness and fulfillment. The pilgrims thanked Cato for his teachings and took their leave, taking with them a bay leaf and renewed spiritual motivation. The sun, now high in the sky, illuminated their path as they walked away from the temple, ready to embark on a new chapter in their lives, full of personal growth, wisdom, and inner peace. The Laurel ritual had ignited in them a spark of hope and faith in the power of nature and their own ability to heal. As the pilgrims dispersed along the mountain paths, Cato remained seated on the rock, observing them with a benevolent gaze. He knew that their journey had only just begun, and that the Laurel ritual was only a small step towards realizing their full potential. But he had faith that, with patience and perseverance, they would reach their goal. And you, are you ready to embark on this journey? If the answer is yes, we invite you to try the Laurel ritual for 15 days. Place a bay leaf under your feet, in contact with your skin thanks to your socks, before going to sleep. Let the Laurel energy permeate you as you sleep, and observe the changes that occur in your body, mind, and spirit. Now, as promised, here is the secret that can change your life. The true magic of the Laurel ritual lies not only in the leaf itself, but in the intention you put into practicing it. If you approach this ritual with an open heart and a receptive mind, you will be able to access its full transformative power. So take a bay leaf, place it under your feet, and let its wisdom guide you. Trust the process and be open to the infinite possibilities that life offers you. Your journey to inner peace, personal growth, and spiritual awakening has just begun. How many times have you heard that in life we must learn to forgive? And how many times have you tried to do it without success? And again, have you ever heard of why you should not forgive according to Buddha? We often hear that the practice of forgiveness serves to purify us, to live at peace with ourselves, and to embark on a true spiritual path. Thanks to the Zen story that you will hear shortly, you will learn the true vision of forgiveness in Buddhist culture. So stay until the end, because what you will hear will disrupt the idea of forgiveness that you have always had, and this will help you a lot in human relationships and in your personal growth. But before continuing, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and share the video. These small gestures cost you nothing, but they will help us produce new content every day for your spiritual growth. In an ancient monastery located among the mountains of India lived an old and wise monk named Kuman, known for his deep knowledge of the Buddhist path. His clothes were sober, but his eyes reflected the clarity of someone who had traveled a long spiritual journey. One day, a man approached the monk with an invisible burden in his heart. "Master Kuman," he said with a trembling voice, "how can I learn to truly forgive according to the Buddhist path?" Kuman, with his usual kindness, invited the man to sit down and began to tell him a story that would illuminate the path to understanding forgiveness. Once upon a time, Kuman began, there were two disciples of Buddha. They were the sons of a respectable East Indian merchant, a man dedicated to his work and determined to ensure the prosperity of his family. This merchant, one day, noticed that his children spent more hours a day at the feet of Buddha instead of dedicating themselves to the family business. His concern grew like a shadow on his face as he saw his heirs abandon the path of commerce to follow in the footsteps of a man who spent his time sitting with his eyes closed. This father, Kuman continued, thought that his sons were neglecting the work and prosperity of their family, and his concern turned to anger as he contemplated the way the Buddha affected the lives of his descendants. One day, determined to put an end to this situation, the merchant decided to confront the Buddha directly. He went to the place where the Buddha was teaching, and when he saw him sitting with his eyes half closed and a serene smile, his anger broke out. This man, Kuman said, felt betrayed. He felt that Buddha was stealing his children's future. The merchant, full of anger and despair, had planned how he would humiliate the Buddha in front of all his disciples. He wanted to spit on him and hold him down for the damage he was doing to his family. But when he came in front of the Buddha and saw his peaceful face, something changed within him. The atmosphere around the Buddha was so permeated with calm and serenity that the man momentarily forgot his vengeful intentions. However, his pride could not accept this climate of extreme peace. Then, strengthened by his determination, he spat in the Buddha's face. The Buddha's disciples rose to defend him, but the Buddha remained unperturbed, with a calm gaze and a persistent smile. Kuman described the atmosphere that followed as if a wave of calm had enveloped the place. The Buddha, he said, did not react with anger. He sat with his eyes half closed, accepting the apparently offensive act with his heart open. The merchant, seeing the Buddha's reaction, realized the helplessness of his actions, and the anger he had harbored turned into remorse. All the accusations and insults he had prepared came to mind, but in front of that peaceful presence, everything seemed insignificant. The Buddha did not condemn the man. He did not humiliate him. Instead, he offered him compassion and peace. Kuman continued. At this point, the monk interrupted the narration to highlight a crucial lesson. Dear friend, forgiveness is like that piece of the Buddha. It is not something we do concretely. It is not simply saying, I forgive you. It is something that happens when we are willing to let go of the past and see the being before us in a new light. The monk resumed the story and described how the man, touched by the Buddha's compassion, returned home. The images of the peaceful Buddha and his act of spitting in his face collided in his mind, he continued. That night, the man couldn't sleep. His mind was dominated by the image of the smiling Buddha and at the same time by the act of spitting that he had committed against her. The man, Kuman said, was at a crossroads between remorse for his past and the possibility of a different future. Cumin emphasized the importance of this pivotal moment in the story he was telling. That man, he said, was going through a process of deep introspection. He was trying to forgive himself, feeling guilty and ashamed for how he had behaved. The man, after days of internal torment, realized that his imagination was constantly constructing painful scenarios based on that past. Imagination, Cumin said, can be a powerful ally or a fierce enemy. In the wrong hands, it can create an endless cycle of anger and resentment. The man, over time, began to understand that the Buddha had not reacted to his actions with judgment, but with a very clear objective. So little by little he abandoned thoughts of revenge and began to sincerely ask for forgiveness. One day he returned to the feet of the Buddha. Cumin said, no longer in anger, but with genuine repentance. "Forgive me, O great master," he pleaded. "My ignorance has left me blind. I was just focused on my life and the prosperity of my family." The Buddha, with his eyes half opened and a smile of peace, listened to the man's words, but when he asked for forgiveness, he shook his head. "I can't forgive you," he said kindly, "because there is nothing to forgive. You have done nothing wrong to me." The man, surprised, asked the Buddha why he did not want to forgive him. Cumin explained that the Buddha had nothing to forgive, as he had accepted the man's act without judging him. It was as if the Buddha saw beyond the past and present, feeling the pure essence of that individual. This refusal to forgive, according to Cumin, taught man a valuable lesson. Forgiveness is not only an act of mercy towards others, but also an internal process of liberation. The Buddha taught, Cumin continued, that to forgive is to perform an act of compassion, both toward others and toward ourselves. The man, impressed by the Buddha's wisdom, began to reflect deeply on the meaning of forgiveness, and the idea that forgiveness was not something that could be given or received, but rather an internal experience of liberation, impacted him. The story continued with the merchant who, inspired by Buddha, decided to embark on a path of self-forgiveness. As time went by, he learned to let go of the guilt and shame that had tormented him. The practice of meditation became his refuge, where he learned to observe each moment without letting himself be dominated by the memory of the past or by worries about the future. "Dear friend," Cumin said, turning to the man who was listening intently, "forgiveness is not just a gesture we make toward others, but an act of kindness that extends toward ourselves as well. When we learn to see each moment with new eyes, overcoming painful memories and letting go of our destructive imagination, we can find inner peace." The story continued with the merchant who, inspired by spiritual practice, eventually healed the wounds of the past and approached the Buddha to thank him. And the Buddha, with his compassionate smile, received him with joy. Cumin concluded the story by emphasizing that forgiveness, both toward others and toward oneself, is a complex and profound process. On our spiritual journey, he said, forgiveness guides us to a higher level of consciousness and compassion. It is a gift we can offer ourselves and others, freeing ourselves from the chains of the past and opening the doors to a bright future. But what is the moral of this story? And what does it teach us? The moral that emerges is clear. Forgiveness, in the Buddhist view, is not an act as an end in itself. It is not something we can give or receive, but is a gift of compassion that can be extended to oneself and others. In this approach, forgiveness becomes a means of making those who have made a mistake understand the extent of their actions. The compassion and kindness with which we offer forgiveness practically and indirectly become tools to open the eyes of those who have made the mistake, leading them to a deeper awareness. Because whoever commits an evil act towards someone actually commits it against himself, since karma will cause the effects to fall on him like a boomerang. So, in the end, he will have to forgive himself. Remember, forgiveness is not just a personal liberation, but a process that can lead to the transformation of others. Opening yourself to the kind of forgiveness we talk about is a way to promote awareness and growth, creating a bridge to a future of understanding and serenity.